Hey guys, this is Conor O'Flynn, and this is Con Solo. Technically, this is number two, but I'm going to call this number one because the first one is kind of like an intro, so you're going to have to give me some leeway there. Um, I'm starting with this topic, which is appeal to authority, because I feel like it's going to set up many discussions that I want to work through. And it's just a really common problem with kind of reasoning and with how people form logic, and it really can stunt your growth and stunt you from working through an issue kind of more rationally. It can make you feel rational or seem rational. Many people that think that they're incredibly rational are not actually using logic. They're just kind of deluding themselves. So it's incredibly important to me that I get this out there first. And I'll probably return to more of these in the future. These are called logical fallacies. They're, they oftentimes it's like you can make a compelling argument, and it sounds really good. It sounds really compelling. You feel it must be true because it sounds so good. But when you actually work through the points in a bit with a bit more care, you realize that that argument doesn't really hold any weight. So this is a big one because all the fields that I work in, if it's fitness, nutrition, and therapy, whatever it may be, appeal to authority is huge. And this is how almost everything in fitness and nutrition is marketed as well. So I'm just going to read you some basic definitions of appeal to authority because, I've got to get this right. So appeal to authority or argument from authority, and there's Latin here because these are all ancient ideas, all these logical fallacies. Argumentum ad verecundium. I may have did that wrong, but whatever. Basically what happens is it's a defeasible argument, and it sounds rationally compelling, but it's not deductively valid. So this is when you present an argument and present a point, sounds good, but when you break it down, it's not really working. That's the definition of a defeasible argument. And in particular, with an appeal to authority, what we're looking at is the acclaimed authority. So whether that authority is valid or not, this is just to pick an authority figure of choice. Acclaimed authority's support is used as evidence for an argument's conclusion. So that authority figure might be your personal trainer, or they might be your doctor or your mechanic, or anyone that is supposed to have, maybe it's me. Maybe I could use myself as an authority figure in one of these fields, right? It's anyone that we can claim has some authority in the field we're talking about. And what you're doing with this argument is you're taking that person's opinion or support from that person as a kind of an irrevocable truth or irrefutable truth. So, for example, if you went to your doctor and your doctor said grapefruits cure cancer, I don't think your doctor would say that. If your doctor says that, you should probably switch doctors. But if your doctor says grapefruits cure cancer, and you go, well, that's great news. It's amazing to think that the cure was there all along and just hiding in plain sight. But then you go home and you tell your spouse or you tell your friends, hey, great news, grapefruit cures cancer. And they say, oh, that doesn't seem like a strong argument. I don't see how that makes any sense. And your only evidence for that claim is it's true because my doctor said so. Now, when you run through an example like this, you'll see that this kind of argument happens all the time. People do this in everyday discussion all the time. It's true because my doctor said so. It's true because he said so and he's an expert in the field, etc., etc. But if that's your only point for the argument you're making, that's not a conclusive argument. Even when you say it, if you break it down, well, it's true because my doctor says it's true. All you have to ask is why. Why is it true because your doctor says it's true? Is it possible that your doctor was wrong about grapefruits curing cancer? Is it true that maybe you misunderstood what they said, or that they misunderstood the topic that they're talking about? The problem with this logical fallacy is that we're kind of assuming an expert or authority in the field just has all of the knowledge. They understand the topic perfectly, and every bit of commentary they might provide on that topic is just irrefutably true, and that's not how it works. Let's do the opposite. So maybe grapefruits do cure cancer. Has anyone tried? No. So you could say grapefruits cure cancer because my doctor said so. That is our appeal to authority. That's our logical fallacy. That doesn't really work for us because there's no substance behind that argument, apart from the perceived substance of your doctor, which probably isn't good if they made that claim in the first place. But that's different than if we dug a little deeper. So if I said grapefruits cure cancer because, and then I provided some physiological mechanism, maybe there's something going on at a molecular level, I can describe that. I can say, here's what the grapefruit is doing, and this is why it cures cancer. That's still not a definitive argument on its own. I'm making a claim, and I'd have to prove that claim actually works the way I say it does rather. The burden would still be on me. I'd still have to prove that it does that. But at the very least, I'm providing an argument that we can both look at, we can both see, we can both evaluate for its validity, and then we can test it. So that's a bit more scientific, that's a bit more logical, and I can make that argument, and maybe someone tests that theory. They see that physiological mechanism, they find some way to test it in a lab, and the results come back, and it looked promising, but that it didn't work out that way, and we can actually move forward from there. But if we make arguments from this position for this position of authority, it doesn't leave us anywhere to go. We're just absolutely trusting authority figures to be right all the time, and they're just not. Like there is no absolute authority on any issue, and even if we can pull these topics back to scientific research at some point, science is changing all the time as well. So having an absolute authority is it's just a false position. It's not something we can actually get to. So using that authority as all of the argument you need to make is an equally invalid claim. So insisting the claim is true because an authority said so. That is our appeal to authority. And when you put it like that, it obviously sounds pretty juvenile, right? You know that that's not a good argument. If you ran it back in your head, you can understand that there might be some holes in your argument. You're placing a whole lot of trust in this person's opinion. Ultimately, it's their opinion, their read of even if it's the read of the scientific data, and maybe that data changes over time, or maybe they didn't understand it well. But you're risking that by just trusting this authority. You'll see, like parents will see this, right? This is if you are a parent, then you'll understand this immediately, right? For a certain amount of time, I'm sure saying you have to go to bed at this time because I said so. That'll work for a while, I bet. But and that's your appeal to authority. You're appealing to yourself as the authority figure there. The authority is always right about this because the authority is the authority. But eventually you might have to provide some reason. You might have to say, no, you have to go to bed at this time because I said so. And your kid might say, well, why though? And you say, because I said so. And the kid said, but why? But why? Like, why is that the conclusion? They want to know. And at that point, you have to evaluate your own argument and see, why am I suggesting this? And there probably are valid reasons, right? You could tell the kid, you have to go to bed this time because you have to get this adequate rest, because you're growing, because your mind needs recovery, because you'll be cranky tomorrow if you don't. There are lots of good reasons. Those reasons are all better than because I said so, or because the authority said so, or because my doctor said so. If you have concrete reasons that we can both see, we can both back up, we can both understand, that's a stronger argument. So that's what we have to try to bring it back to. And in the introduction episode I did for this podcast, I said I'm not necessarily an expert on anything I'm talking about. I have lots of experience, and I think I devote a lot of my time to fitness and nutrition and therapy. So I think I know a lot about these things, but Nothing I say should be just taken as gospel or taken as truth without being questioned. You know, part of the reason I'm doing this podcast is to bring up questions. You know, and maybe you disagree with something I say, and I want to know why you disagree. And maybe the two of us disagreeing leads to some higher conclusion. We both understand something a little bit better afterwards. Or maybe one of us is right and one of us is wrong, but we'll hash that out. We'll figure it out. But we have to have some way of kind of engaging in a fair discussion. We're both playing with the same facts. And just saying that it's right because my authority figure of choice says it's right doesn't get us anywhere. And you'll know this if you've done any reading in nutrition or fitness, because well, the internet's a great thing, but now we have, you know, there's always been a lot of experts in this field, but now they're everywhere and they're in front of your face all the time because there's TV, there's social media, there's YouTube, right? So who's the expert? Who's the authority? You know, I could find in 3 seconds on YouTube, I could find some authority figure that tells me I only have to eat red meat. Red meat's the only thing I have to eat, and that'll make me the healthiest I've ever been. You know, the carnivore diet is very popular right now. I can find doctors that'll say that. And then in 3 more seconds, I can find a video saying, you should never eat meat. And if you can just avoid meat your entire life, you'll be as healthy as you've ever been. And you'll live to be 400 years old, and all of your teeth will be white, and all that kind of stuff. So we have 2 authority figures. So if we have a discussion where one person is appealing to their authority and the other person is appealing to their authority, we don't get anywhere. You know, if I say it's true because my doctor of choice says this, you say it's true because my doctor of choice says that, where do we go? You know, we have to debate facts. We have to debate ideas, discuss facts. That gives us somewhere to go. But just appealing to authority is a dead end, and it ends up deceiving a lot of people too. You can have, you know, even Charles Poliquin, the late great Charles Poliquin, whose work I respect beyond measure. If you don't know him, he was a world famous, one of the most famous probably, strength and conditioning coaches, and prepared many Olympians for the Olympics, gold medal winners and everything. Really interesting guy. But he had this insane amount of authority because of his body of work. He had prepared these Olympians, he had put in this work already, so he had this resume, and that built his authority. And when he said things beyond that, you know, when he would say something a little crazier, because he did say some crazy things, especially in nutrition, he would just make some weird claim about a specific nut or about specific dried fruit or something like that. A lot of people would just accept it as true. Well, it's true because Poliquin says it. Why does that make it true? You know, he has tons of experience. He has tons of anecdotal experience. You know, he's prepared Olympians, great. But that's him preparing specific people for specific tasks. It's not even that, isn't it? It's not a scientific study. It's not a physiological truth. It's a story that happened to work out the right way. So if we just accepted everything he said at his word, we're kind of at the mercy of whatever he felt like saying that day, which isn't a good position to be in. And you'll see that even with, you know, with current fitness gurus and experts and everything on YouTube, and everyone's putting out their own ideas and trying to get their own audience and stand out, I guess. So they'll put something out there to try to make it seem as though they're an authority in something, and they sometimes do that at the expense of everyone else. You know, I'm the authority on it, and everyone else is wrong about this thing. Carnivore diet people do that a lot. Vegans and vegetarian people do that a lot. And it's all based on authority. It's all based on, this is true because I'm a doctor in this and that, or this is true because I've worked with 500 clients in this field, or whatever it may be. Those aren't reasons. Those are just statements. Okay, that's not. You can say it's true because I've worked with 500 people in this field, and they've all lost 500 pounds of weight, and everyone's got nice white teeth and all that stuff. That's not a fact. Okay, that's maybe that is what happened, maybe it isn't what happened. But if you come to me instead and say this works because of these physiological mechanisms, here's the science on it, here are some scientific studies on it, we can talk about that. And maybe what you're saying is true, but I can evaluate the idea. It's always about evaluating the idea. You know, if we start evaluating the people and then we just pick a few of our favorite people and decide that they're always right about everything they say, regardless of what the topic may be, it just leads us down a path to deluding ourselves, really. And I don't think that gets anyone anywhere useful. You know, it just builds even in nutrition now. It's building these nutrition ideologies where we're not really questioning the parts, the ideas, and the ideology. We're just saying, you know, I eat carnivore, and everything that goes along with carnivore diet is me. And I don't have my own original ideas. I'm not going to question any of these ideas. I'm just going to go along with it because authority figure X said so. So this is huge. And I'm not like I said, I have some experience working in fitness and working in therapy and in nutrition, but I'm not going to make a claim that I'm an expert in any of these things. I'm sure some people would call me an expert in some of these things, but my job first and foremost is to question ideas. That's how I view it. That's how I view what I do. So even if I have a specific client, if they have a problem that we have to solve, I might have an idea about how we can work towards it. And before I present that idea to them, I have to question if that's the right idea and why I think it's the right idea. So even if I'm going to present myself as any kind of authority figure on a matter, I still have to break down why I deserve to be called an authority. And that's what I'm really getting at here. I don't want to think of myself as that authority figure, and I don't want to just blindly accept statements from authority figures. And I think we should all be really careful with it. This appeal to authority is it's this defeasible argument idea, but it's a logical fallacy. It's a way of presenting kind of a delusion as fact, and we should get away from that. And once you start looking for these things, you'll see that they're everywhere too. Like even in just gym conversations, you have a conversation at the gym or at the office or whatever, and someone will say, "Yeah, I heard that's a really good diet because he or she said so," and you'll think, "Oh yeah, that must be true because he or she said so, and they're famous." But, or even celebrities, I guess, right? A celebrity will do that's the worst one maybe. We got Gwyneth Paltrow just throwing crazy stuff out there all the time. But it must be right because they do it, right? And they're famous. But that is not a good argument, and we need to go away from that stuff. So let me know below in the comments or wherever you're seeing this if you've spotted some of these in your daily life, if you've committed some of these errors. I know I've done this probably countless times. I probably do it even still now, right? Now I'm just trying to catch myself as often as I can, but it's just kind of an ongoing battle. Probably always will be. You know, we want these quick, easy answers, but that's not always an option for us. You know, sometimes the only option is to delve into the idea and do the research and try to work through it and grapple with some with our understanding of a concept, and that's not always easy, but that's got to be the way to go sometimes. So yeah, so let me know what you think of that concept, or you never heard of it before. Look for it, the appeal to authority. Hit Google, look for some examples there, and yeah, let me know what you think, and let me know if you've committed any, and if you have any particularly funny examples of this. I'm sure that there are gurus and experts all over the place that are using themselves, appealing to their own authority as they make videos, and I would love to hear about that, especially if they're funny examples. Alright, so this is Con Solo number 1, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Don't forget to check this out, or check out my website, conquesthp.com. Other videos here on YouTube or on whatever podcast client you're listening to this on. And I will talk to you guys again soon.